Hi, this is Dr. Kasia Kines, CEO and founder of EBV Global Institute, and today we're talking about why EBV makes your hormones go crazy. So let's zoom out for a second and talk about EBV being an opportunist and liking to strike when you are most vulnerable, and that means typically stress. So this is the most common reactivating and activating factor. It's very well studied and documented in medical literature, and of course in our community it's a given. We all know in our EBV community that that's what it is. So when you have EBV fatigue, you can also have adrenal fatigue, although the real adrenal fatigue would cause death. So we use this term of adrenal fatigue a little bit too often, but adrenal insufficiency is very frequent in our community because basically people with EBV have been chronically depleted. In general, they've been overworked, overstressed, powering through things and pushing themselves to do things when they shouldn't. And so there is this mother hormone, pregnenolone. If you look at the hormone production in the body, there it is. And then the body decides from that hormone how to make other hormones. And the pathways can go left or right. And left, you're going to produce a lot more cortisol and stress hormones. And on the right, you can produce all other hormones here, like your sex hormones, your estrogen, estradiol, progesterone, DHEA, and all these. So it's kind of like that, and the body keeps track and keeps things in balance, except when you have chronic stress. We talk about pregnenolone still when more of the material to build hormones is being stolen towards the cortisol and stress hormone productions. And so number one thing that you want to keep in mind is that cortisol really feeds the EBV and reactivation. So that is the big aha. And so oftentimes your doctor will tell you you have adrenal insufficiency rather than adrenal fatigue. Okay, insufficiency more correctly. By that time, you're just not producing that cortisol anymore. The body is kind of exhausted from overproduction at a certain point because you were rushing, running on adrenaline, running on cortisol and pumping it and pushing yourself. And so it was producing when you had, you were wired tired, you were wired at night. That's an early stage, and then you go into that adrenal insufficiency. So you have to keep in mind that some of the fatigue is EBV and some of the fatigue is the insufficient adrenals, and so you have to work on adrenal recovery too. And another thing that is related to that is frequent insomnia, when people wake up with racing heartbeat, high blood pressure, anxiety, heat, sweat in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then you can't go to sleep. That's your adrenaline pumping. That's a different training altogether, but that's common in our community as well. And that can be addressed quite easily. The biggest thing, especially for women, is also hormonal changes. Any hormonal shift can correspond to EBV reactivation. In some of the worst cases in women, I see every time there is a cycle, menstrual cycle, EBV can reactivate even with this cycle, which is every month, which is not fun. Another common area is puberty, perimenopause, menopause, hormonal changes in your life cycle. If we don't have our ducks in the row, then we can reactivate EBV as well. The worst case of this is postpartum. So when a woman has a baby, there is a huge and very fast change in hormones, like huge. And it's a great opportunity for the virus to reactivate. And so keep in mind, any woman that starts being depressed, overwhelmed, gaining weight, having fatigue-like symptoms and malaise and achiness, and may have symptoms of EBV or may have symptoms of thyroid going down, any of these symptoms, you really need to ask your doctor to test for Hashimoto thyroiditis. Not just thyroid, the autoimmune thyroid, please. There is a different training on labs, like thyroid labs. This is frequently not done properly, so you have to be your own advocate and you have to make sure that they test 2 antibodies. Just ask for 2 antibodies for Hashimoto's thyroiditis. They will know what it is. They just don't typically add it normally, because what you need to keep in mind is that very frequently Hashimoto's is induced by EBV. And postpartum is a very prime example of where this happens. And so, you know, low thyroid has symptoms that really match EBV as well. You start putting on weight, sometimes you may be constipated, you will be miserable, depressed, no energy. So there you go. The stress, the changes in hormones, and the depletion from chronic stress when your body is just not making enough hormones, even of the cortisol, these all can relate to EBV reactivation, making things profoundly miserable. Hopefully this is helpful. Make sure you test properly. You don't have to be miserable, and you don't have to wake in the middle of the night really with high anxiety because you don't know what's happening. It may not be just hot flashes, it may be EBV. But we have all the solutions for these particular areas that I discussed. We trained extensively because these issues happen to so many in our community, pretty much a given, especially adrenals. So we do that recovery of adrenals as well, and thyroid as well, all that. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for being here.